Syndrome had zero superpowers. No strength, no speed, nothing. Just a brain. And with that brain alone, he built a secret island, created robots that learned how to kill superheroes, and came closer to destroying every hero on Earth than any villain in Pixar history. But here's what nobody talks about. Even when he lost, his plan still worked. The Incredibles became exactly what Syndrome always said heroes should be. He changed them forever. The smartest villain Pixar ever made didn't just almost win, he actually did. The year was 2004, and Pixar was about to release The Incredibles, their most ambitious film yet. Director Brad Bird had spent years crafting a story that wasn't just about superheroes, but about the psychology of power, legacy, and what happens when ordinary people try to become extraordinary. At the center of that story was a 10-year-old boy named Buddy Pine, standing in the golden sunset of Municaberg, desperately trying to convince his hero, Mr. Incredible, to let him become a sidekick. The massive frame of Bob Parr towers over the small child as Buddy explains his inventions, his gadgets, his unwavering dedication to helping his idol fight crime. Mr. Incredible's response changes everything. "Fly home, Buddy, I work alone." Those 5 words create the most dangerous villain in Pixar history. But here's what makes Syndrome different from every other Pixar antagonist. Syndrome's motivation is infinitely more complex. He doesn't want money, power, or revenge in the traditional sense. He wants to fundamentally alter reality itself. To understand the scope of his intelligence, you have to understand what he's actually trying to accomplish. Syndrome's plan operates on 4 distinct levels simultaneously. Level 1 is personal revenge against Mr. Incredible. Level 2 is the systematic elimination of all superheroes. Level 3 is the creation of artificial heroism through technology. And Level 4, the most brilliant part, is convincing society that heroes were never special to begin with. Let's start with the revenge plot, because this is where most people think Syndrome's plan begins and ends. They're wrong. The tropical island of Weaponizing rises from the crystal blue waters of the Pacific Ocean, its volcanic peaks hiding one of the most sophisticated technological operations ever conceived. Inside the gleaming metallic corridors of Syndrome's base, we see the fruits of 15 years of obsessive planning. Buddy Pine is now a grown man, his red hair styled into sharp angles, his blue eyes burning with the same intensity they had as a child. But everything else has changed. The boy who once created crude rocket boots in his bedroom has become a technological genius whose inventions surpass anything the world has ever seen. Consider what Syndrome accomplished in those 15 years. He built a private army of advanced robots. He constructed a military base that's completely invisible to global intelligence agencies. He created technology that can immobilize the strongest superheroes on Earth. He established a network of informants that spans multiple continents. And he did all of this while maintaining a public identity as a successful inventor and businessman. But the revenge against Mr. Incredible isn't random violence. It's a carefully orchestrated psychological operation designed to destroy Bob Parr on every possible level. Syndrome doesn't just want to kill Mr. Incredible. He wants to prove that Mr. Incredible was wrong about everything, about working alone, about natural talent being superior to artificial enhancement, about heroes being born, not made. The phone call that lures Bob to Weaponizing Island is a masterpiece of manipulation. Mirage's sultry voice promises Bob everything he's been missing for 15 years. Adventure, purpose, the chance to be a hero again. But notice what the mission actually involves. A robot on a remote island that only Mr. Incredible can stop. Syndrome knows exactly which psychological buttons to push. Bob Parr has been trapped in a mind-numbing insurance job, forced to help little old ladies with car claims when he should be saving the world. The offer to fight a dangerous robot in paradise isn't just appealing to Bob. It's irresistible. But this brings us to level 2 of Syndrome's plan, and this is where his intelligence becomes truly frightening. The Omnidroid isn't just a weapon, it's a learning system. Every superhero it fights teaches it new strategies, new weaknesses, new ways to kill the next hero. The gleaming chrome surface of the massive robot reflects the face of each hero in their final moments, and that data is instantly uploaded to Syndrome's central database. Think about the implications. Syndrome has turned the superheroes themselves into unwilling teachers for their own destruction. Every punch, every power, every desperate last-ditch effort to survive becomes part of the Omnidroid's knowledge base. He's weaponizing their heroism against them. The computer screens in Syndrome's command center show the results. Geyser Beam, a hero capable of cutting through solid steel with his laser vision, defeated. Universal Man, who could survive the vacuum of space, destroyed. One by one, the greatest heroes of the Golden Age fall to a machine that grows smarter with every victory, and each death brings Syndrome closer to his ultimate target. But here's the brilliant part. Syndrome doesn't just kill these heroes randomly. He studies their psychology first. He learns their weaknesses, their fears, their personal lives. The files in his database read like psychological profiles written by a master manipulator. Take Geyser Beam's death. The hero who once fought alongside Mr. Incredible is found dead in a cave. but he managed to scratch the word Kronos into the rock before dying. This isn't just a clue for the audience. It's evidence that Syndrome studied Gazerbeam well enough to predict exactly how he would behave in his final moments. Syndrome knew Gazerbeam would try to leave a message. He allowed it to happen because it served his larger plan. This level of psychological manipulation extends to every aspect of Syndrome's operation. When Mirage recruits Bob for the first mission, she doesn't just appeal to his desire for adventure. She specifically mentions that the Omnidroid has been causing problems for the island's ecological systems. She knows Bob won't be able to resist helping innocent wildlife, even on a remote island he's never seen. When Bob arrives at the island and successfully defeats the Omnidroid version 8, Syndrome doesn't immediately reveal himself. Instead, he watches Bob celebrate, studies how victory makes him feel, observes the confidence returning to the former superhero's movements. He's gathering data on Mr. Incredible's psychology, just like the Omnidroid gathered data on his powers. The dinner scene between Bob and Mirage in the volcanic cave restaurant is another masterpiece of psychological manipulation. The exotic location, the fine dining, the attractive woman paying attention to Bob's stories about his glory days. Syndrome has created the perfect environment to make Bob feel like the hero he used to be. But notice what Mirage talks about during dinner. She doesn't just flatter Bob, she asks specific questions about his methods, his philosophy, his relationships with other heroes. She's conducting an interview disguised as a date, gathering intelligence that Syndrome will use in the next phase of his plan. This brings us to level 3, and this is where Syndrome's plan transcends simple villainy and becomes something much more ambitious. Syndrome doesn't just want to eliminate existing heroes, he wants to replace them entirely. The sleek manufacturing facilities hidden beneath his island produce technology that can grant superpowers to anyone with enough money to buy it. Zero-point energy, advanced artificial intelligence, weapons that defy the laws of physics. The rocket boots that Syndrome wears as an adult are the evolved version of the crude prototypes he built as a child. But now, they're perfected. They allow him to fly faster than most natural speedsters, hover with perfect control, and maneuver in ways that would be impossible for someone with biological flight abilities. His immobilization rays can freeze multiple targets simultaneously, regardless of their size or power level. His targeting systems can track heroes through walls, predict their movements, and coordinate attacks from multiple angles. But the most impressive piece of technology is the Omnidroid itself. The massive robot represents the pinnacle of artificial intelligence, advanced materials science, and adaptive combat systems. Its tentacle-like appendages can reshape themselves to handle any situation. Its armor adapts to different types of attacks. Its learning algorithms improve its performance in real time. And here's the crucial detail that most people miss. Syndrome didn't just build one Omnidroid. The version that attacks Bob on the island is the 8th iteration. That means Syndrome built, tested, and improved this design 7 times before using it against Mr. Incredible. Each version incorporated lessons learned from testing against different types of heroes. The Omnidroid 10, which Syndrome deploys in his final plan, represents years of combat experience distilled into a single, nearly indestructible machine. And Syndrome controls it perfectly until he makes his one critical mistake. But before we get to that mistake, we need to understand level 4 of Syndrome's plan, because this is the part that elevates him from a great villain to an absolute genius. Syndrome doesn't just want to defeat the heroes and replace them with technology. He wants to convince the entire world that heroes were never special in the first place, that superpowers are just tools, and anyone can be a hero if they have access to the right equipment. When everyone's super, no one will be. This single line reveals the true scope of Syndrome's intelligence. He's not just planning a physical revolution, he's planning a philosophical one. He wants to democratize heroism, to strip away the mystique and specialness that makes people look up to figures like Mr. Incredible. And the terrifying thing is, he's not entirely wrong. Think about it. What makes someone like Mr. Incredible a hero? His super strength? His invulnerability? His moral compass? Syndrome's technology can replicate the first two. And the third is something anyone can choose to develop. The plan to attack the city of Metroville with the Omnidroid 10 is the perfect demonstration of this philosophy. Syndrome sends a robot to terrorize innocent people, then swoops in at the last minute to save them using his advanced technology. To the watching crowds, he appears to be every bit as heroic as the old superheroes. The key difference is that Syndrome's heroism is based on intelligence and preparation rather than genetic lottery. He studied the problem, developed a solution, and executed it flawlessly. From the perspective of the people he saved, what more could they ask for in a hero? This is where Syndrome's plan becomes genuinely revolutionary. He's not just replacing individual heroes, he's replacing the entire concept of natural heroism with manufactured heroism. And once people accept that technology can make anyone super, the market for his inventions becomes unlimited. Imagine the world Syndrome is trying to create. Governments buying super soldier programs, corporations hiring technologically enhanced security forces, wealthy individuals purchasing personal power suits for their own protection. The military applications alone would be worth trillions of dollars. But Syndrome's intelligence goes even deeper than creating a new market. He's solving what he sees as a fundamental injustice in the world. Why should some people be born with incredible abilities while others have to struggle with ordinary human limitations? Why should heroism be restricted to a genetic elite? From Syndrome's perspective, he's not the villain. He's the great equalizer. He's democratizing power and giving everyone the chance to be extraordinary. The fact that he has to kill a few naturally gifted heroes to accomplish this goal is just an unfortunate cost of progress. This philosophical framework makes Syndrome infinitely more dangerous than villains who are motivated purely by greed or revenge. He genuinely believes he's making the world a better place. He's convinced himself that his actions are morally justified, which means he'll never have doubts or second thoughts that might sabotage his plans. And for most of the Incredibles, his plan works perfectly. He successfully lures Mr. Incredible to his island. He captures him easily using superior technology. He obtains detailed information about the location of other heroes through psychological manipulation. He eliminates multiple threats to his operation, and he successfully deceives the public into viewing him as a legitimate hero. The only reason Syndrome's plan fails is because of one tiny miscalculation. He underestimated the importance of family. When Bob goes missing, Helen doesn't just sit at home worrying. She activates her own dormant superhero skills, steals a plane, and flies to Nomanison Island to rescue her husband. She brings Violet and Dash with her, not because she wants to put them in danger, but because she has no choice. Syndrome's intelligence files on Mr. Incredible are extensive, but they focus primarily on his abilities and psychology as a solo hero. Syndrome never seriously studied Bob's role as a husband and father because he dismissed family relationships as irrelevant to heroic effectiveness. This blind spot proves fatal. When Helen and the kids infiltrate his base, Syndrome's security systems are designed to handle individual heroes, not coordinated family units. Violet's force fields protect Dash's super speed, which allows him to access areas that would be impossible for a single hero to reach. Helen's elasticity provides reconnaissance and infiltration capabilities that Syndrome's sensors can't track. But the real problem is emotional, not tactical. Syndrome has spent 15 years thinking about heroes as individuals. He never considered how the bonds between family members might amplify their abilities or motivate them to take risks they would never take for strangers. When Bob thinks his family has been killed in a plane crash, his emotional state becomes completely unpredictable. The calm, controlled hero that Syndrome studied for years transforms into something much more dangerous. A father who believes his children are dead. The massive concrete hallways of Syndrome's base echo with the sound of Mr. Incredible's roar of grief and rage. For the first time in the entire movie, Syndrome looks genuinely surprised. His psychological profiles never accounted for this level of emotional intensity. And when Syndrome discovers that Violet and Dash are still alive, he makes his final, fatal mistake. He decides to adapt his plan instead of abandoning it. A truly intelligent villain would recognize when circumstances have changed beyond their control and retreat to fight another day. Syndrome has the resources to disappear, regroup, and try again with better information. Instead, he doubles down on his original plan and tries to salvage victory from an increasingly chaotic situation. When he kidnaps baby Jack and flies toward the city, Syndrome is no longer following a rational strategy. He's acting out of wounded pride and desperate need to prove that he's smarter than the Parr family. And the instrument of that defeat is the most powerless member of the Parr family. Jack, a baby who hasn't even begun to understand his abilities, manages to escape from Syndrome's grasp through pure instinct and luck. The irony is perfect. The most intelligent villain in Pixar history is defeated by someone who can't even talk yet. All of Syndrome's technology, all of his careful planning, all of his psychological manipulation becomes useless against the unpredictable nature of a superpowered infant. But even in defeat, Syndrome demonstrates his intelligence one final time. As he's being pulled into his jet engine by his own cape, he doesn't scream or beg for mercy. He laughs. Because he knows that even though his plan failed, he succeeded in proving his central point. The Parr family survived by working together, using their powers in creative combinations, and relying on technology when their natural abilities weren't sufficient. In other words, they won by doing exactly what Syndrome said heroes should do. They used intelligence, preparation, and teamwork rather than relying solely on individual power. The final scene of The Incredibles shows the Parr family working together to stop the Underminers' drill. They're coordinating their powers, supporting each other, and adapting in real time. They've become everything Syndrome said heroes should be. This is why Syndrome remains the smartest villain Pixar ever created. Not because his plan was perfect, but because even in failure, it changed the heroes for the better. Syndrome was right about the importance of intelligence, preparation, and teamwork. He had every quality necessary to be the greatest hero of all time: intelligence, resources, and determination. Instead, he chose destruction rather than creation. That choice makes him not just Pixar's smartest villain, but its most tragic. In the end, Buddy Pine got exactly what he asked for. He became a superhero. He just chose to be the wrong kind.